I am standing at the intersection of two streets, First Alley and 3rd Street. 20 years ago, there would have been houses over here. And today, all that's left of them are little parts of concrete and asphalt hidden away in the grass over here. And over in the distance stands Gavin Power Plant. Gavin Power Plant is one of the largest coal-producing power plants in the United States, and it is the largest in the state of Ohio. It sits near the town of Cheshire, and it is also the reason this town is now a ghost town. If you look at the tall smokestack in front of me, you can see the pluming pollution coming out. Now, the problem started in the late 90s into the early 2000s, where instead of the thick white pollution coming out of the towers right now, instead came out what is described as a blue plume of pollution. Now, as this pollution settled on the town, many complained of headaches, sore throats, pain in their eyes from going outside. All of this came from the pollution at the Gavin Power Plant. Now, ironically, it was later figured out that the thing that was causing this strange blue pollution was actually AEP's own pollution control system. But by the time it could be fixed, it was already too late. In the early 2000s, April of 2002 to be exact, AEP announced their solution. Essentially, they offered to buy the town. Now, for a price roughly equivalent to $20 million, AEP offered to buy the town. Although individual records are sealed, it is reported that anyone who signed the buyout got roughly 3 times what their property was worth. Now, many accepted the buyout. And many of those people who accepted the buyout were actually allowed to stay in the town if they had elderly or sick family members. And, of course, there were a handful of people who decided that they weren't going to accept the buyout. They didn't want to leave their homes behind, didn't want to leave behind their family histories. Now, after the buyout, AEP not only got control of the land, but also, as part of the buyout, the people who signed it would not and could not sue AEP for any medical damages that came to them ongoing or in the future. Now, there is some debate on who came up with this idea. Some say that it was AEP that came up with the idea, and others say it was the mayor of Cheshire. Now, to paraphrase an online comment, there is one thing that is certain. The deal was great for AEP. Not only did they acquire new land that they could use to expand the Gavin Power Plant, but they also freed themselves from any future fear of being sued for any medical conditions that were caused. It's estimated that if they had been sued, the litigation for those lawsuits could have cost them hundreds of millions of dollars. So, in short, it was an amazing deal for AEP. Now, many of those who accepted the buyout did move away. And sadly, it's reported that a lot of the elderly members of the town who moved away died shortly after moving away. Now, you could say that they just died because they were elderly. You could say it was the stress of moving. You could say it was from medical conditions caused by the Gavin Power Plant. But some even think it was just from a broken heart of leaving behind the only homes that they ever knew. Now, today, I'm walking through what's left of Cheshire. There isn't much here. Probably the most prominent thing is the Baptist Church, which draws in people from all over the county. Although I did recently read news reports that their pastor is actually leaving the church, and they're unsure how they're going to get a new one. Now, the town used to have 3 schools. All of them are closed down. One has been sitting abandoned a few miles away from here, and in June or July of 2019, it actually caught on fire in what's believed to be an arson. As far as I know, that investigation is still ongoing. One of the other schools, which is back that way into the woods a bit, now is a work detention center for the sheriff department. And then there is the school in front of me. Now, it's said that this school is now the village offices. But today, on a rather dreary and rainy Friday, the offices are completely dark. Although there are tons of cars parked over here, it doesn't seem like anyone is actually in the offices. Now, according to what I could find online, the town still has a mayor, and it has about 6 committee members who meet every Monday to discuss the town. They're able to keep the lights on, they're able to keep the roads paved, and they're able to pay a small amount of money to the man who landscapes the town and also is the law enforcement of the town. Now, sadly, this story isn't the happiest. A town of people were exposed to insane amounts of pollution, many of which probably led to medical conditions of members of the former town. One such story I found online was Scotty Lucas. His wife was actually sick already by the time the buyout was announced, with a disease that scarred the lung tissue. He took the buyout and was allowed to live in his house. I actually believe that the house right up here that I'm walking towards past the school might be his house, but I am unsure of that. He said that he accepted the buyout because it gave him and his wife a lifetime estate. He was able to care for his sick wife until she sadly succumbed to the lung disease in 2012. Now, this story isn't all sad. While the people of the town cannot sue AEP for any medical damages, in 2014, over 70 former workers of the Gavin Power Plant filed a lawsuit against AEP for exposing them to toxic chemicals. Now, from what I can find, as of 2017, the case was still being heard in Mason, West Virginia, which is right across the river, and also where Point Pleasant is. So while these people may not get justice for the pollution that happened to them, AEP did not get off scot-free. Now today, the only things that you will really notice if you try to drive through this town is the Gavin Power Plant itself and the small Sunoco station that still remains. There's also a small grocery store and a post office. However, the grocery store mainly serves the people who work at the nearby power plant. Now, although AEP is obviously at fault here, it does seem like they've tried to make it somewhat right. Granted, nothing that they could do could ever fix these people's lives that they ruined. It's said that AEP paid for a new roof on the town hall a few years back. It's also said that they have helped pay the landscaping. Of course, that record is a bit muddled, considering, according to the town, they pay for the landscaping. Now, Cheshire is a ghost town, and at this point, there really is no saving it. Even though now the air is cleaner, the town is still mostly held by AEP. Those remaining in the houses that are left will either have to pass the house down to family, or when they die, the land and the house will go to AEP. Now, AEP has already torn down a number of houses. I don't know the exact number, but from what I've been told, they basically tore down most of the town. And today, you wouldn't even recognize the town as you drove by it. Cheshire, Ohio, was never a large town. It was always a small town. In fact, they call it a village. But it was people's homes. And AEP exposed these people to terrible, terrible pollution that most likely affected them medically and possibly even had effects on future children of residents of the town. But really, we don't know how many people were affected by this pollution. All we know for sure is that Cheshire is now a ghost town. There is no saving it at this point. And in the next 20 years, this town will probably be gone. But at the same time, the Gavin power plant will also probably be gone. And that is the sad story of Cheshire, Ohio. A small town that became a ghost town. Now, I know this video is a little bit different than the things I normally do. I would not consider this an exploration of any type. But I felt that I should make this video because I passed by this town several times. Just like all these people driving on the main road out there, I passed by it several times without even knowing what it was. And then, after finding out the history of it, I decided that people needed to know. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video, even though it is a tragic story. And if you did, please subscribe. I make new videos at least once a week. And I want to thank you guys for watching.